Thank you, and I'm grateful to be on this panel. And my name is Victoria Gay. My pronouns are she, her, and I am very grateful to be joining you from the unceded ancestral territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. Right now I run a consulting organization called Mutatio with my business partner and a small team. And we work with nonprofits, with government, with credit unions, co-ops, land trusts in different spaces. So with health space, we work with some gender-based violence organizations, justice, social services, a variety of different organizations dedicated to positive social or environmental change. And on a day-to-day basis, this is working alongside the leaders in these organizations to help them solve some of the complex problems that they're faced with in their organizations. And our role as an organization is to help them make sense of it all. So to help them see some of the issues clearly, understand them from different perspectives, and then build strategies and tools to turn these plans into action. And I want to start there in what I'm doing now, because if you told me during my undergrad, early years of my PhD, or even like early years of my career that this is what I'd be doing today, I would have been quite shocked. I didn't even know a career or a role like this existed. I did my PhD in London, England, in environmental science. I do have women's health experience, so I am in the right place today, but I think that's half the story as well, that it doesn't matter what your exact topic is, what your thesis about, your skills can be quite applicable across areas. It's about how you approach problems and how you adapt and how you understand them, uncover areas, and try and answer questions and probe. So doing this PhD, it felt like a dream, studying the natural environments that I loved, modeling how we'd altered these systems and how maybe we could help to restore them. I loved the research, but I also had to make ends meet at the same time. So alongside my PhD, I was very fortunate enough to get a part-time job through applications here, there, and everywhere. But it was coordinating a clinical trial in an area I'd been following very closely, and that was of personal interest of me. So it was working neural tube defects in pregnancies. It was really meaningful work, and it reminded me how much that I love the applied research. So like Alexa mentioned, that application of research, it's research connected to outcomes and to change. And that also planted an early seed for me. The skills that we develop as researchers can be useful way beyond the specific topic we're focused on. And so to keep life afloat in quite an expensive city, London, England, I looked around for other work opportunities as well. I networked, I watched for openings, I went to a series of events, and I landed an internship at an investment organization focused on the green economy. So it was a completely different world. I was still in the academic world as well. I was still doing my PhD, but this was sustainability mixed with finance, mixed with innovation. And yeah, it was a really interesting role, and it gave me something that I'd been missing: a lot of collaboration, a lot of pace, and a real sense of how evidence shapes decisions. But at one point, I was juggling my PhD. I was teaching at the department. I was teaching stats. I was coordinating this clinical trial. So doing all of the background work of this clinical trial, and then now had this full-time job. It was absolute chaos, as my husband reminds me still. But I was in my early 20s, and at that time, I could somehow function on very, very little sleep. But thankfully, I finished my PhD, which I'll say for anyone that's going through master's or PhD, really, please absolutely finish. I will never regret those extra hours in the evenings and weekends just to finish it. But after I finished, I didn't have a clear plan. I had these brilliant academic mentors, but very few role models outside of academia. I didn't know how to talk about my skills or where they might fit. So after applying to a few positions, I took a job that, looking back, it wasn't quite right, but it paid the bills. And yeah, but it didn't stretch me. But I could do it well enough. So I started quietly kind of fixing things that I saw come up in the organization on the side of my desk. So building simple tools, streamlining processes, making suggestions, solving things that no one had asked me to solve. But I'd say that research curiosity never goes away, and it just finds new questions. And thankfully, a senior colleague noticed those extra steps that I was doing, and he invited me to support a new project. And that project was the first big strategic planning project that I did. It was mapping out how this large multi-billion-dollar organization could position itself more in the clean energy space and do more in this climate crisis, and how they could focus to make a greater impact. And again, it wasn't focused on biodiversity as my PhD was, but it drew in many of the same instincts. I could talk to people, I could ask probing questions, I could translate technical information, I could connect dots across teams, and I could communicate clearly and bring all of that together. And those research skills turned out to be exactly what this kind of strategy work needed. So I was finally enjoying my job. I was feeling like I was using my brain, my skills, but my life took a bit of an unexpected turn. My husband had a fantastic work opportunity in Vancouver, so we moved across the world. I was then 30. I didn't know anyone, and I had to just start again. So I networked a lot. I made a list of organizations that inspired me. I reached out for coffee, chats, followed up, learned when things weren't working, and kept going. And for every, I don't know, 3, 5 no's, I maybe got one yes. But that one yes opened a door, and I joined a consultancy working with governments, with NGOs to design and deliver services differently so that people could access the services and programs more easily. Again, very focused on problem solving and strategy, working across social services, government services, and it was a really interesting job, fantastic team. Yeah, great to be in Vancouver in Canada overall. A couple of years later, after I've had my first child, I went in-house and was the director of strategy at BC Women's Health Foundation, and that's how I met the WHRI team, the Power team as well. That was a fantastic role. I love the organization, the staff, the leadership. We led thought leadership on gender gaps in health. We built awareness of underfunding in women's health research. We worked very closely alongside the WHRI on a number of partnerships and managed to drive some real change through provincial and federal funding. So really pleased to have secured substantial funding for women's health there. And it's a big highlight of my career that time. But also in that time came twins. So that was another unexpected turn. I had 3 kids under 2 at one point, which was memorable. And then, of course, the pandemic as well, which affected everyone. And after pushing through that for quite a while, I hit a wall in, I would say, mid 2021. A big wall, and I decided to take a break, and I decided I would consult on my own for now, until I had my breath, I could catch my breath, and until I could get another real job. And that just for now became the start of something absolutely wonderful. The consulting work kept coming. My business was growing. Each project was a new puzzle. I was working with so many fantastic organizations, primarily in the nonprofit space or non-governmental space, but some government work as well. And just these amazing organizations making an impact to people's day-to-day lives, to the environment. And I realized that the same skills that carried me through my PhD, that curiosity, that bringing people together, that synthesis of lots of different sources of information, the storytelling that you need to have to be able to kind of complete that full package or write an academic paper. They're exactly what organizations need to navigate the complexity. And one client introduced me to my now business partner, Crystal, and together we joined forces and co-founded Mutatio. And the word mutatio, which is the name of our organization, actually means to change, to become something different. And it points to transforming through the interchange of ideas or interchange of perspectives. And that's really at the heart of what we do. And I absolutely love it. It's intellectually challenging. It's really socially meaningful. It's never the same twice, and I get to do it with my brilliant business partner as well, which is fantastic. And that puts me at today. And I can share our website. So if I haven't explained it well, those of you that are interested can learn more about the kind of work we do and the kind of organizations that we are very fortunate to work with. But I'll just close with, and Alexa did this as well, which is fantastic, just a couple of key takeaways, because it's a long old story to remember. But I would just say that based on where you might be in your career right now, whether it's in research, whether it's in like a research affiliated organization, just be curious where your skills fit. They already have more range than you might think. I would say if you're considering leaving academia, and I still have one foot in academia because I'm still do some research on the side, but I would say that don't see leaving academia as a failure. It was deemed a little bit that way when I left over a decade ago, and I would say think of it as a discovery in a different form. Your research has trained you to explore the unknown, and those skills are so applicable elsewhere. And then finally, I would just say that don't necessarily expect a straight path through your career. Some of you might have already experienced this on your way to research, and my path has been very messy, evidently very non-linear, and full of surprises. But I've been curious the whole time, and I'm really excited to think about maybe where that's going to lead me next, because I don't know where my next path is, and I'm far from done. Thank you.